All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division where one of the biggest names in boxing history, Mike Tyson, shares advice with Errol Spence Jr. and confronts the issue of whether Errol should be fighting Terence Crawford next, and gives him some advice that I think is pretty solid. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division where we are anxiously awaiting an announcement of what is going to happen next for Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford as far as their rematch goes. Is it going to take place at all? If it takes place, what weight class is it going to be? 147 or 154? And really, what is the best decision for Errol Spence Jr. to make, considering that he had lost the first fight in, fair to say, dominating fashion? Mike Tyson speaks out on what he thinks and gives Errol Spence Jr., I think, could be some very solid advice. Before we get into the details of that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support, because it really does make a big difference to the channel. Thank you for continuing to participate in the boxing conversation that we're having here. It is such a joy for me to do it, and provided you're in the comments section and you're not acting a jerk, it's honestly very fun to respond to comments in the comment section as well. So make sure you guys leave some comments, preferred if you weren't, trying to kick the dog, but it is what it is. This is boxing, so people have attitudes. But let's get into this, because I think that this is a good and interesting conversation. As you know, Errol Spence Jr. lost to Terence Crawford, and he lost in a one-sided match. There's a lot of speculation going on about what took place in that particular before that fight, and also during the fight. A lot of speculation about that as well. And conversations about what should take place next. Now, Mike Tyson, who, if you don't know who he is, you were born under a rock and never got out from under it, is a former heavyweight champion and somebody that has had more than his fair share of ups and downs in his boxing career and his life, like everybody else. Has had some fights that went real south, real far south, like similar to the way the fight with Errol Spence Jr. took place. You could say that pretty much that's what happened when he fought Evander Holyfield for the first time. The second time, I think, was a better performance for Mike Tyson because he didn't get knocked out. He got disqualified for biting the guy's ear off. But whatever, it was still a rematch that he had against a Hall of Fame level fighter that in the first fight beat the brakes off of him. In the second fight, I don't think Evander Holyfield beat the brakes off of him as badly. But Mike quit in that fight. So it is what it is. Now, and also he got the brakes beaten off of him by Lennox Lewis, but I don't think that after he retired after the Lennox Lewis fight, he still came back and got several more paychecks. So his advice, though, to Errol Spence Jr. about the Terence Crawford rematch is not to take it right away. Go out and fight a couple other people first before you get back in the ring with Terence Crawford. And the reason why he would want to do that is obvious. You want to get yourself get yourself sharp, get yourself back to the best version of yourself that you can be at this particular point in your time in your career. Let things play out with Terence Crawford and the fights that he has with other people, and then get back in there, and then get back in the ring with him. I personally think that would probably be a smart move for him, provided he feels like he being Errol Spence Jr. is going to continue to have a long career, and that he's looking to have 5, 6, 7 more fights. And I think that decision should be heavily dependent upon that, because if he only wants to do it one more time and he just wants to get that payday or see if he can beat him. If he beats him, hey, he's still going to only have one or two more fights. Then, hey, man, yeah, go get a couple of those fights first. Get your body acclimated to 154 pounds. If you can get your sharpness back, if you can, get a couple extra tricks in your bag to help you kind of get your way through fights in a little bit less of a brutal fashion on your body, I think he should do that. And I do believe that provided he gets a couple knockouts and he looks good, that fight is going to be there and the money is going to be there. The money's going to be there for that fight. There is no real concern on my part, at least, that Terence Crawford is not going to be there. I think there's a lot of speculation after two or three fights, provided Errol Spence just gets the fights done and does them very quickly and stays active. One of the biggest things that my critiques of Errol has been, aside from the fact that he's had the car accident, which explains a lot of inactivity, is that he just needs to get that he does not want to take tune-up fights. But I would say don't take a tune-up fight if you don't need a tune-up. Right? Like, for example, you have Canelo Alvarez. If Canelo Alvarez is fighting for a third time in a year and he fights, I don't remember who the people he fought in a row were at this point in time, but say like it was, I know for sure one was David Benavidez. It might've been like Callum Smith, Callum Smith, Caleb Plant. And then after that, he might've went and grabbed a fight against Yildirim. Actually, Caleb Plant was after Yildirim, but you get my point. You take two good fights, and the third one is just a stay busy fight. I can understand what you not want to take stay busy fights, but if you have not been in the ring in a while, I think that's the purpose of a tune-up fight is to get you ready after you've been sitting out for a long period of time. Tyson Fury did it against Deontay before he got in the ring with Deontay Wilder. Gave himself 2 fights against I think it was Pineda and Safiri, I think were the 2 fights when he came out of his very long layoff before he got in the ring with Deontay Wilder, and that suited him well. So I think the same thing should apply for Errol. I think Mike Tyson has given him very, very solid advice if he wants to continue on with his career. Now, if he doesn't, and he just wants to go grab the payday and say, look, man, I got this money on the table, and I think that I've had this one fight, as long as I don't get injured in training or something like that, let me jump back in there with him at 154 pounds. Cool. That's his decision. I'll support his decision because he knows his body. He knows his circumstance much better than I do. But at the end of the day, I think that if you listen to something Mike Tyson had said before the fight started, where he was at the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight, and he was interviewed, and he said, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good fight, but I was really concerned because somebody said that one of these guys hadn't fought in like 16 months. And he was like, yeah, that's a big deal. If you haven't fought in 16 months, that's a big deal, right? So clearly it was a big deal, right? So this advice that he's given is consistent with what he said going into the fight and literally the day before the fight took place. But he had thought that it was Terence Crawford that had been inactive when it really was Errol Spence Jr. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.